I'm joined now by Angela Stent, the director of the Center for Russian Studies at Georgetown University. She's also the author of The Limits of Partnership, U.S.-Russian Relations in the 21st Century. Good to see you, Professor, again.
Great to be back.
All right. Well, today a lot of folks are talking about the glitch. There were a couple of glitches with the opening ceremony, namely this one of the Olympic rings. We saw it in the U.S. on television. One of the lights didn't expand into a ring. Instead, it looks like a snowflake. But in Russia, people instead saw a video from a rehearsal where it did work properly. Is this an example of the kind of control this country wants to have over kind of the global perception of these Olympic Games ultimately?
Well, it definitely is. Don't forget that, television, most of the TV in Russia is controlled by the state, and they wanted their population to see everything working very well and no glitches. Now, of course, the fact that in other countries people have seen it, it means that Russians who are on the internet will be able to watch it. But it's symptomatic of Putin's desire to show Russia is back and everything is working well in Russia.
Wow. And this really, I guess many have said, this is Putin's games, that he very much wants this to be representative of where he should be on the global stage. Is that really who he is, in your view?
Yes, it definitely does. I mean, he fought very hard in the year 2007 to get those games for Russia against all odds. If you think about it, it's in a town which has a subtropical climate. You can see all those palm trees. It's in a very dangerous neighborhood, as your reports have shown just before we came on. It's cost $50 billion. This is very much about who he is. By sheer willpower, staging these games sort of in Soviet fashion, as Nick Payton-Walsh said, and to show that they can control things and that Russia is back and that the world should respect Russia, should give it the respect that it used to have when the Soviet Union still existed.
The opening ceremonies were painstakingly choreographed, which brings us to this next, kind of glitch in some people's view, this controversial figure, a former figure skating champ, Irina Rodnina, lighting the cauldron at the stadium. And just a year ago, she was blasted as a racist for tweeting a photo of the Obamas with a superimposed banana in this photograph, yet she is selected to play a very pivotal and prominent role in the Olympic Games. Certainly this was not an oversight. I mean, Russian authorities couldn't have forgotten what took place last year. So was this a very deliberate kind of snub at the U.S. by way of using Rodnina?
I would hesitate to say it's a deliberate snub at the U.S. or at President Obama, although it is indeed a very offensive tweet. I would say it's more an example of the broader theme that Putin's been pushing in the last 6 months. Our culture, our civilization is as good as yours in the West. Don't tell us what to do. This also relates to all the LGBT legislation and the controversies. And you have to respect us for who we are. And if you don't like it, that's too bad. And I think that's what this symbolizes.
Yeah. Angela Stent, Georgetown University. Thank you so much. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you.